here's the
Go ahead, Nikki.
here's the our website and our your code, which is farmers. We've donated from everything to schools to polio to help each lecture that we do, because what we do is we sell local honey in local places and donate to local causes, because that's an awesome way to do it.
Thank you. It's wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Not that anyone has to buy it. I'm just saying, if you do, you know, then you get, I'm going to give back to your cause.
Yes, yes.
I ordered, I'm going to show it to you.
Yeah, all the tasting kits. If you did the tasting kits,
Yes.
let's see if
Yes.
the little flare shows up. Yeah, well,
I did the little tasting kit.
yeah, it was challenging trying to keep it light. And I got to work on a bulk shipping concept that'll lower the shipping and stuff. And I'm working on smaller jars because you want it to be cost effective when you're mailing out 100 of them.
Right, right.
Fun, fun,
We're
fun.
doing that for Jewish temples because they want honey and if you do it bulk, then you've got to do it in advance, and we're figuring it out.
Wow, wow. Well, 4 more minutes and we will officially start. It's very kind of you to always donate to someone, Nikki, and you've done to quite a few, if I was correct on reading
Yes.
your bio.
We've been speaking more lately.
Have you?
Well, I'm entertaining if you like my humor.
We do.
And so people want something different, and bees are an uncommon subject that is a very common object.
I don't know anybody that doesn't love bees and honey.
Oh, I get my people coming to me, I don't like honey. Why are you standing at my booth? It was pretty, because we usually have really good looking booths. Yeah, I got to learn to sort my pictures better, so when I talk I can pull things up. That's my next mission, is, you know, how to tag my photos.
Nikki, do you pronounce your last name Canola?
Canotas.
Canotas.
Yes,
Thank you.
I'm using the male version because they didn't understand in America as a female you would be Canota.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And someone I work with, Christina Kuprina, she does the Russian one where the woman has a different ending, and so she's Kuprina and her husband is Kuprinin, whatever.
Sure.
So we voted one.
Yes.
Perfect.
Now, if you really want to know my whole name is Thessaloniki Alexandra Canotas Engdahl.
Beautiful.
You're right.
Beautiful.
It doesn't fit on credit cards. It
wouldn't
didn't
work.
fit on my driver's license for decades. So the state of California changed me to T.A. Canotas Engdahl.
Better.
Oh, yeah. We're trying to get rid of her. She whenever someone calls and says Ta, and we're like, yeah, you sales.
We have approximately 2 minutes before we're going to start. Sue Fitzpatrick, would you please, in 1 minute, tell how you found Nikki before we start the Zoom?
Sure. So you wanted me to try to find someone that produced honey. So what I did was, locally there is, I would call it a co-op of beekeepers in Santa Clara County, which is the county I live in California. So I went to the site and filled out a form saying, I'm looking for a speaker. And these are the parameters. And fortunately, we had one taker, and it happened to be Nikki. And I hope you will definitely, having chatted with her several times in the last few weeks, I hope you will be entertained by her and that you will learn a lot, because what she has to say is rather fascinating.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Well, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the August Zoom presentation. And I'm going to let Davina introduce Nikki. Davina, please.
Thank you. Nikki Canotas of Mike and Nikki's Honey is the local buzz. What started as a hobby that Nikki could share with her partner, Mike, has expanded into a thriving honey business. Beyond simply producing honey, Nikki is committed to bee rescue and supporting pollination operations for local farms. Based out of Campbell, California, and found almost exclusively in local stores, festivals, and farmers markets, Mike and Niki's Honey has committed from its earliest days to supporting local causes. Fundraisers from kids' karate schools to the Santa Clara Bee Guild to benefit from their gift baskets and other donations. Niki's motto of "Be Happy" has enriched her life and added sweetness to the lives of those who eat either her honey or the produce her honeybees help pollinate. Niki is just getting started, adding hives, production facilities, and honey-based products to the company lineup in the months ahead. Mike and Niki's Honey, local stores, local causes. We welcome Niki and Mike. Thank you.
Well, hi there. I'm going to have fun with this presentation, and I promise to do as entertaining as I can. And I believe I have 30 minutes.
Yes.
All right. This thing doesn't show a timer, so keep me on time. Give me a 10-minute warning after 20 minutes. And what I think I should do is, before I share my screen, this is our farm in Half Moon Bay. It's what they call a co-op farm. It's trying to be organic. People are coming back and learning to be farmers, play with dirt. And it's at the foot of the runway of the Half Moon Bay Airport. So it's one of our coldest apiaries, which is why the Hawaiian Queens didn't work in it, I think. We're working on expanding more and more into farms and making it happen. And that's Mike. I always take the photographs. That's why I'm rarely ever in them. All right, so let's go to this and go to presentation. Here's the part that says presentation. Oh, there it is. Ta-da. All right. I am Niki of the Mike and Niki Honey Company, and we affectionately say that I am the Niki because our company has many Nikis in it. My assistant is Niki, my attorney is Nicole, my trainer's name is Niki. Who knew a common name that's not that common would become so common in our company? And of course, with Mike's generation, every third guy is named Mike. So we have our first mentor, his name was Mike, and we just have a lot of fun with it. Okay, all right, so over here, bees are everywhere. If you'll notice down here, it's the White House, and they got a hive. And it was just part of Michelle Obama's trying to grow vegetables. They grew so many vegetables on the White House that they couldn't feed the White House, so they started donating to neighborhood programs. Not that, and I would want a jar of White House honey. That would be so cool. I'd have to buy two, one to try and one to keep. Why beekeeping? I needed a hobby. I'm a financial planner. Mike's a mortgage broker, right? This hardworking dude just, we could retire and go to Oregon and buy some land, and then I'd bake some bread, and we have no community up there. So his mom's still here. We want to stay with community because that connection's important. And at our age, I don't think we're done. People are living longer and longer and longer. And you need a purpose-driven life. Because my first father-in-law, kind of after 18 months of being retired, he's like, I don't know what to do. He'd done everything he'd wanted to do. So we started in 2013. And we were bee havers. Bee havers is where you go, I have a hot box, it's over there, and you don't do anything with them, right? And we had to put them down because they actually got hot, and we don't know why, but they were starting to attack people. And as an urban beekeeper, we make sure they go away one way or another. The Bee Guild is that co-op that you were talking about, Sue, and it's transformed. Back 50 years ago, it was beekeepers because we were the Valley of the Valley of Heart's Delights. Now it's about hobbyists in Silicon Valley, so it really changes. The Valley of Heart's Delights was a Spanish mission here in Santa Clara. We were the fruit basket of the country. We had 39 canneries. It grew tremendously, but it was using natural pollinators. California has two guys that are duking it out, and I haven't figured out who yet. But first was John, and he imported hives, and he said they were 57 and they came from the east to the west. And he learned to stretch his hives and sell them and make a fortune. It was another form of a gold rush. But as only the internet can do, there's a plaque between Terminal A and Terminal B in San Jose Airport. And it says Christopher Shelton through Panama and a whole bunch of other things. I still got to figure out what's a bongo as a method of transportation. I don't know. That's a Jeopardy question for someone. He brought in his hives and only got down to one hive and came to the Santa Clara area. Whereas John came to San Diego, he definitely came to Northern California. So they're duking it out on, no, I'm the first. No, I'm the first. So we're having fun. But now that ranch is an airport. We've been seeking to modernize and work with it. California has really become a national producer of honey production because we still have the Central Valley. And a lot of honey is produced out of here, but the beekeepers are having a hard time with bees and honey. They're really getting paid more for pollination. And we really need to keep that pollination. I'm all about food security. And as an urban beekeeper, I'm able to pollinate your tomatoes in your backyard. I'm able to control the bees that are in your yard, because if we let them just live in trees, everyone gets upset and starts exterminating them. Make sense? And so with this urbanization, and I call it Home Depot flowers, the bees have a good nectar source that is varied because we have so many different flowers in our backyards. And I can't make the brand called Home Depot till I make a sponsorship with them. So I get to have fun with that. But many of these amateurs have fun and they profit from it. And they're doing it either on the side, totally illegally. Some do cottage food industries, not many, but we turn full professional. I always like to tell people, you want legal honey, I have to have a commercial kitchen, bee insurance, $2 million worth of bee insurance, commercial insurance, health insurance, all kinds of insurance and certification. So it adds up being legal. Now, today I want you to try Campbell honey. If you have that little bear, this is off the last 2 acres of farmland in Campbell. It's amazing. It usually has I do small batch craft honey. That means I don't have tanks with 10,000 gallons in it. It means that I have 650 if I'm lucky. And if you smell this, it has that sweetness of honey, but something in the Highway 17 and 85 area has a cinnamon flavor to it. Yeah, that little guy. Isn't he cute? I bought 15,000 bears and now I got to go buy another 30,000. Who knew I had to store all the bears? So yeah, you want the one that says Campbell on it. And I think that batch even says it was meant to be. Yes, there you go. So when you learn and go through your honey journey, you're going to learn that honey can taste very different. It's not generic. I mean, most ketchups taste closer to each other than honey. And as we go through this journey, you're going to find out, I didn't know honey could taste like that. Now we're following the tradition. And back in the day, you could throw the kids in the back of your station wagon with no child seats, no seat belts, and just, tour this beautiful map and see all the blooms, because there were no houses. There were little snippets of tracks. And they had a map and the seasons, and you could just do a little bit every Sunday, on that Sunday drive. Kind of cool. Now we have many of our hives out and around here and a little bit farther than this, because there's no farmland in here now. It's evaporated. It's been turned into Silicon Valley. You see, Silicon Valley created the next boom. And when they built the spaceship, they had to move this barn. This historic barn was totally reassembled and put on the side. Now, my goal is, if anyone knows anyone at Apple, I would like to put some bees on there just to be part of it, to do that juxtaposition of old versus new, that I went from a high-tech career. I built the largest privately owned soundstage north of Hollywood, not 5 miles from here. And now I'm going back to ag. I'm brave enough to be first generation. in a non-farm community. So I would love to get bees on that. Now, what I'd like you to do is to taste the orange. Now, when you smell the orange, there's a bouquet that comes from orange that is a uniqueness to it. And soon we're getting ready to bottle lemon blossom and citrus blossom. Now, why are these starting to come out more is because you have to pay to get into an orange orchard now. Orange blossom is so popular that I have to pay, instead of earning $200 to pollinate his field, I have to pay him $500. That's a $700 difference. I have to make $500 to pay him, and I have to pay everyone else to get the profit. That's $500 profit I have to earn to pay him to make the orange blossom. We still get paid to do lemons. We get paid to do grapefruits, tangerines, tangelos. And so we're starting to separate them out and trying to bring them up. So later this year, you'll be able to buy a 4-pack of lemon blossom, orange blossom, citrus blossom, and start to learn how the blossom changes the flower. We would have had cherry blossom and orange and apricot blossom this year, but with the drought, we got 0. So when you taste this, it has a unique floral taste, and that's what happens with monoflorals. Monos means one flower source. I use this in tea. And have you tried honey on a grilled cheese sandwich? Oh
No.
my gosh. Honey on a grilled cheese sandwich is the bomb. Yeah, it's better than ketchup. You know, it's like, it's wow. Think of me and give it a try. Now, we started on this farm. That house still exists. The parents have all passed on, and the mom, who's the youngest one here, still owns it. And she's 75, 78 years old now, 80. She's not living there, and they own a lot of property because they used to own 1,000 acres in Silicon Valley, and they've slowly sold them off little by little. Townhomes have popped up again and again and again, but they've kept this piece, and we're the official beekeeper. There's one barn, and most people go, that's a farm. So I'm working on it. If they'll bless me with that, I hope to make it a market farm so we can be producing lettuce, carrots, green onions, build on that food security. We're also on the last 10 acres of apricots and 3 acres of cherries. So the tractor is in the apricots, the truck is in the cherries, and I believe, and we get to pollinate those. And we get to work with Charlie Olson. He still gets up every day, does his little gym workout. He's my hero. And he comes to work and he works in the barn and he does whatever the orchard needs. But the city of Sunnyvale has now, in their infinite wisdom, insisted that when he's on that tractor, he has to wear a yellow hard hat.
Oh.
I don't know. He did 70 years without it, but they're happy. And he wears his hard hat. There's only 10 acres left, and we have to fight for it because the woman who has the museum next door wanted to cut down a whole bunch of it and build a bigger computer museum. And I'm like, we can have computer museums. We have computer museums. Don't tear down my trees. So we've been in the political action stuff, and I do know how to say a thing or two and get my point across. So I do meet regularly at city council meetings to see what we can do to preserve these micro moments of farming, because it's better for the environment if we have some place for things to do. But they've been here since 1899, and he's what, 3rd generation, 4th generation farmer? Insane. And he lets me play with my bees over there. And we were very young in the beekeeping business when we started with them. And we started with them, I think, in 16. And in 17, we had a bumper crop. Like, we're thinking, I'm a beekeeper. Right. No, anyone could make honey in 2017. 2010 and 2017 were those years that were insanely, get the buckets, we're making honey. This year, we really know what we're doing, but we're in a drought and my hives are gaining 2 pounds. So yeah, it was pretty funny when we went into that orchard and we thought we were so good. Yeah, no, life teaches you. Now, these farms have empowered us to do our expansion because we started with little hives in little neighborhoods, and that's 4 hives, and 4 hives is not scale. And I'm not even saying this is scale, because I have friends who own 10, 20, 25,000 hives, and they're like, you're doing what? They think I'm absolutely nuts. But by supporting Big Wave, we're raising money for them. Their chicken coop got blown down in a storm. We gave them a percentage of our retail sales the next month and helped rebuild the chicken coop, because we can do that. It's part of our initial cause. I'm investing my net worth to build the company and go through the not profitable stage and build companies so we can do more things. Because with this being my third act, I need a purpose-driven life. I get to vote what I want to do. When we're at farms like this, we're exchanging their land for our free pollination. And so when we're at a farmer's market and I say, the booth behind me with those raspberries, blackberries, and strawberries, our bees pollinated them. That's full cycle. So people can go from two ends of a farmer's market booth and buy the berries and buy the honey, and it's full cycle. That's kind of cool. So we'll be harvesting their honey for the first time this fall. Yeah, it's been challenging with them, but we really need the farmers to stick with us and work with us and give us the space, because I can't buy land and do beekeeping, not in Silicon Valley. I mean, it's hard enough and expensive enough to do it in just the beekeeping. Now, if you want to try something different, we have canola. Now, canola is a field flower. It's what they grow to make oil. And this tastes fruity. And it's going to taste like either grapes or apples, or you're going to say, why did you put this in my mouth? Because like cilantro, there are some people who try this and don't like it. And I'm not saying if you have cilantro, if cilantro tastes like soap to you, you won't like it. I'm just saying there are different palates. And this one has to grow in a colder area in the north, but it's different.
Yes.
And I put this on green olives. I want you to learn to pair honey with different things. And I am working on getting more recipes on the website, because I have a sommelier palate and I'm a very good cook who can, call it dinner a la refrigerator. Open the door, pull 6 ingredients out and make something. We've never eaten the same meal twice, ever, in the times that Mike and I have been together. And it's been a long time. So I learned to put things on. I put honey on ribeye steaks like salt. And it's not like it goes, I have honey. No, I used it as a seasoning. So you learn to do different things, to play with it a little differently. But really, canola honey on green olives is fabulous. Now, bees pollinate at least 1/3 of the food you eat. And in this section would go away if you didn't have bees. Now I will always push the political boundaries and talk about who's out there doing what. There are those who want to eradicate the European honeybee, which has been here since the 1600s, because they want to go all native. I hear them. I feel them. I don't think it's going to happen. I think if we want to scourge, I don't think you can make it happen. So let's embrace where we are. Now, I would love to see them get rid of the fish in the Mississippi River and the frogs in Australia, because they're both changing the ecosystem, not for the better. Currently, we're feeling like, I think the honeybee's done a good thing out here. And if you've been to Hawaii, they have all these different yellow bees that they research. And they have a few that they think the wind has brought, because everything had to have been brought to Hawaii. It's just how long has it been there to be native? And they discovered a new yellow bee that they think came like the other guys, but just recently. Food security and saving farms is one of my new missions. So we just started a new organization, Keep Hives Local. I have people who stand next to me and say, I need honey from within, half a mile of where I'm standing, harvested in the last 30 days. And oh, by the way, make it orange blossom too. They don't understand what they're talking about. There's only like 15 acres of oranges left in the entire Silicon Valley. And it only blooms for 6 weeks. So don't talk to me in October. We need to be able to feed ourselves. We need to be able to not ship our food. Do I like eating fruit in the winter, sure, I will do that. But everybody, not just us, needs to have local food security, which empowers the environment. That if we have chickens and bees in small parcels around communities, we can eat local on our lettuce. So we don't have to spend a fortune shipping lettuce because it's a fast growing light food. It adds security. By using natural methods, and like chickens do amazing things to control bugs, turn over soil, fix weeds, make the biome better. It's insane. So my goal is to save those patches of land so that we have drainage to put back into the aquifers. Not everybody wants to be a high-tech geek around here. Let's support 4-H. Let's get people who want to do it so they can go up to UC Davis, learn farming community, and go to the Central Valley and evolve farming with a no-till method, low fertilized, especially artificial fertilizer method. Just my little campaign. Things are changing. Oh, we did canola. I didn't pull out the canola one for you. All right, we all got, see, I got typos. So things are changing and we're trying to do something different. And you already did the canola. And I'll tell you, how many of you thought canola was different? That's one of my, when I do honey tastings and they go, well, I don't know if I like this and I don't like that, because I could have 25 kinds of honey. And I can tell you the subtleties of the differences. This one leads with citrus, this one leads with cinnamon, this one leads with lavender, and their little brains are exploding. But as soon as I give them canola, a lot of people go, oh, I don't like that one, I like this one. The contrast in life gives people the power to build their barometer, their measuring stick, to make choice and to learn something. They walk away going, I didn't know honey could taste like this stuff. Yeah, and biscuits. Mike likes this one on biscuits. Oh, make a fresh biscuit. There you go. Now, as I said,
20 minutes.
I have 20 minutes left. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Now,
that's your 10-minute. That's your 10-minute warning.
That's my 10-minute warning. This is our base farm. When the family started to rebuild it, it was dirt. Oh my gosh. Well, at least now in this corner, there's an orchard. And my goal is to take this back half and turn it into a farm, like a real farm. I may need to start a letter campaign, get them. They're waiting for something. I'm getting old, so we'll see what happens. But my goal is to turn this into a farm. It's hard to keep a bee. It's expensive. We used to have the standard loss of like 15%. Now 30, you don't even blink at 30. 50 is normal. 90% is common. If chickens and cows died at the rate of bees, Nightline, CNN, primetime, they would all be talking about this. But we're really good at what we do. We know how to split hives. We know how to use queens, and we're ahead of the curve, but we are like on a treadmill going, no. And they're putting in regulations for us. In the city of Santa Clara, you have to tell them 3 days in advance you're going to move a hive. You can only have a hive 300 feet from the road and 1,000 feet from a building. Have you seen a suburb? There's nowhere to put a hive legally. San Jose and San Francisco have happily said, we're taking bees off. We're going to let the bee guild self-regulate. And the animal protection people are happy because they go, it's a bug. What am I going to do with it? I don't know what they call us. We have mentors, people who've been doing this 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and they work it out. We figure it out. And that's what a self-regulating organization could do when you don't want to pay animal control to learn about beekeeping. And the beekeepers quite often for free will rescue the swarms. Cutouts, I just try to teach people, when you do a cutout, you need a professional because you need the insurance, the knowledge, the skill, and the professionalism. When you do a cutout, when they move into your walls and they move into your barn and they move into your house and they're underneath, yeah, call a professional. And there are bee guild-like things. There are a lot of them around here that are called bee guilds. They'll be called bee clubs, bee associations. So yeah, think about them and where you do it. Now here we're going to go for, I'm going to blow your flavor of things. And the reason I'm doing it last is we're going to buckwheat. Buckwheat is deep, dark, hoppy. It tastes like beer. This, you want to put on ham. You want to put it in bran muffins. The two things I love to do as the Top Chef thing is I put this or my roasted garlic honey. That takes me 8 months to make. On vanilla ice cream. So buckwheat, people love this on cereal, on oatmeal. On vanilla ice cream, it's quite a contrast. Put it in your coffee. It really plays on the bitter notes. Honey has many different flavors. Honey is like saying wine or cheese or food. So I'm going to keep keeping bees no matter how hard and expensive it is. I just need it to be hard because we do have things like colony collapse disorder, but we have pests and chemicals and loss of habitat and viruses, American foul brood, European foul brood. When that starts coming in, the tom-toms start beating and everyone's like, oh, they have foul brood in Los Altos. And we all start getting really nervous because it's one of those things we'd burn the beekeeper if we could. You strip everything down and you walk out and then they wash you and they burn everything, your suits, your gloves, your shoes, they burn it right there. They get a burn permit. Foul brood is nasty. Okay. And we have to feed them. I buy food by the pallet so I can deal with the no-see-ums, with the viruses, with the diseases that are coming from 85% of all commercial bees come to California to pollinate the almonds. It's Woodstock every year because they're mixing and matching and mixing and matching. And then they go back to the rest of the country and bring it home. So it's challenging from what it was just 20, 40 years ago.
Nikki, do you see the question that's on the chat?
No, let me see if I can find chat.
What is the main reason hives are lost?
I'm going to say it's everything. It's a perfect storm. It's colony collapse, viruses, vermin, loss of pollination, loss of environment, pesticides. I don't think we're breeding enough strong queens now. We're replacing queens every year when they used to live 7 years. And so you'd say, okay, every 5, keep her fresh. I think we may be getting to a point where we're not breeding strong enough queens with enough drones, and we're going to have to replace our queens twice a year. That's hundreds of dollars for every hive that has to be paid. And everyone wants to sell honey at $1 a pound retail. The numbers don't match up. It's just, yeah, that's the thing. Now, hang on, let's go here. So things move on and we have to adapt. We're on social media. I'm starting my own little YouTube channel. We're up to 35 subscribers. Woohoo! I think I'll put that in the chat room here in a sec. And what happens is we're able to start working on other sources of income and strengthen the farm. So if you subscribe, you might, if you get on our email list, you'll know about new things. If you want to be entertained by us as we grow on Facebook, that's great. But it's the newest source of income for farmers. Let me get back. Hang on. Trying to get to my screen. You can see my 1128 right now, can't you? I don't see my screen. Let's try this. There we go. All right. So we're on Facebook and all the other medias because that is the new thing that has to survive in farming. Goldshaw Farm, just a few acres, Vino Farms, all these guys, the millennial farmer, they're learning to do YouTube, and they're making more money on YouTube than they are on the farm. Goldshaw Farms, if he makes $5 grand, he's got a day job and he just bought this piece of land and he's bringing it back and rebuilding it. But if he makes 10 grand this year on farming, I'll be shocked. But he's making 150 grand and growing on YouTube, which means now he can afford to fix the barn.
How does he do that? Or how are you doing that?
I'm at step 1. He's in step 40. He's got 314,000 subscribers. So that means he has people who are diligent. He puts up a video once or twice a week. I'm feeding the chickens. He's known for release the quackin', and he sells t-shirts that say release the quackin'. He shows what feeding the chickens, feeding the ducks, breeding the chickens, breeding the ducks, talk to the dog. The cat, the goose moved into the dog's house. I bought a tractor and I know he didn't buy that tractor with his farm income. I know he bought that brand spanking new red Komodo tractor with his YouTube money. And so by the viewerships, YouTube has ads on the site and they take 45% and you get 55% of all the ad revenue of your YouTube channel. So if you become popular, you make money, but you have to, like farming, planting trees like an orchard, you have to put in the time. You have to put in the time. You have to put up 1 or 2 videos a week for a long time till you get a following. But this is the necessary piece, and it is one of the fastest growing channels in farming right now. In YouTube, small farms are very, very popular. And in farming now, we're all starting to make YouTube channels. So what can you do to help? Buy local honey from a local beekeeper. I know it's a guy and he has no licenses and no commercial kitchen and all that other great stuff, but you're helping him out. Buy from a small commercial beekeeper like me in your local area. Because like I said, I have all the letters, MFF, PFR, TFF, whatever, commercial kitchens, trucks, sexual harassment training. I got it all. You know, whatever they tell me to do now, I got to do it. Plant flowers. When you talk to Lowe's and Home Depot, make sure you're going neonicotinoid free, because that doesn't affect the bees, it affects the baby bees. The baby bees don't make it. And somehow the FDA is just not looking at that part. And that's one of my crusades, is to tell them, if the babies don't make it, the bees don't make it. Please stop being an idiot. Support habitat rebuilding, and make sure in every community you're saving parks, lands, small craft farms. My mission is to have all through, like Detroit, because they're starting to be great on it. There are more Black beekeepers in Detroit because they're now making small market farms in all the dead plots, which is awesome. Awesome. Beeguild.org, that's my Bee Guild, and Project Apis M gives seeds to farmers and tells them this part's never going to grow corn very well. Why don't we plant some stuff here for the pollinators and everybody else, and gives them the seeds. We donate to them every year. Scientific beekeeping with Randy Oliver. He has become successful because the most financially successful people I know are beekeepers. They beat my real estate people. The ones I have dinner with, the richest people I know, are beekeepers because they have 25,000 hives. They're doing pollination contracts and doing amazing things. He's now investing his net worth into scientific beekeeping to research, to find out whys, whos, whens, whatever. We support his cause all the time, because this company is built on the concept of local honey, local places, local causes. It's what we do. It's my third act. I need a purpose-driven life because I'm working way too hard. Way too hard. When you have to get up at 2 or 3 in the morning to go move beehives, you're like, this is a hobby. No, it's not a hobby anymore. It's a company. And we need to get over that. We got to get through that curve. We're in that curve where you go from small, tiny, and poor to not making enough money and needing more capital till you get to the part where the incomes are going up more. This curve is where businesses fail. And we're taking our 40 years of work experience each to tell our employees, don't spend it, don't do it, don't talk to each other at the water coolers, because during this period of time, we got to keep it tight because businesses fail through cash flow. It is the foundation of my company, local honey, local places, and local causes. And in support of your organization, we're going to donate a percentage of August retail sales using the code FARMERS to help you and your grants for future farming students. We support UC Davis. We really believe in education. And we also donate to the 4-H clubs here in the Silicon Valley, which are also anomalies. I mean, these are 1950s organizations wearing 1950s outfits. Have you ever seen a 4-H in the white with a green hat? They look like a throwback from another time, but we're there to help them, to support them. Because no matter how modern we get, we need this. We need farms. We need to feed ourselves. We need food security. So I hope I've been entertaining. I hope you learned something. I hope you understood that buckwheat is honey and it tastes way different. Try it on something interesting. So I'm here. I'll answer your questions, and I appreciate your time. Because it's been great in marketing for me to tell people that I was speaking to your organization.
Thank you so much, Nikki. Would everyone please unmute And this is a Q&A time. If you want to unmute, then you can ask questions of Niki.
Do you have any recommendations for what kind of plants to plant to help foster the development of the bees?
You want to do more pollinators. You want to do things that have produced nectars. And what's really great is if in your yard, you can put 1 or 2 big, beautiful fountains, a hummingbird feeder, and support a beekeeper in your neighborhood, it will change your ecosystem.
Okay.
So you want to find what's more native for your region, because we're really about trying to support the original regional pieces. We as we crossed the great, plains, we brought all our ragweed with us, and I'm trying to support more local, like California, we're all about drought tolerant, things like that. So it's when you work with your local nursery. I don't care if you're in Hawaii, you got to get water tolerant plants that we can support our system, because water is going to become one of the next big things. Food security is going to become a big thing. So let's rip out those lawns that were inspired by British castles and get into a low maintenance native garden in our yards, and stick out. If you're crazy enough to put out bird feeders and squirrel feeders, and remember, they're going to be squirrel feeders unless you put Vaseline on your bird feeder. It's so funny when you put the Vaseline on the stick and they slide down. They're like, dang. You will get the different things. Like in my neighborhood, the possums and the raccoons are now out during the day. They don't just do night anymore. And they're the size of medium-sized dogs. They're huge. And they've changed and adapted. They don't care about daytime anymore. They're like just walking down the street. I kid you not. I'm in a suburb area and they're walking down the street. So plant local, plant native, plant water tolerant as much as you can, because we're trying to get rid of kudzu. The government wants to bring a bug that'll eat a plant that's taking over, but it's good for the bees. But I'm terrified when they do that, because there are frogs working their way all the way around Australia that were brought in to eat something else, and now they're eating everything else.
Mhm.
And the fish that are in the Mississippi River that we're terrified if they make it into the Great Lakes. And I'm like, can we do a fish net catching program and turn them into fertilizer? They're the tiger fish in Florida is an invasive species, and now the restaurants have said we will cook it, and there is a no limit on these tiger fish, so that we can try to control it, because they're dominant and they're killing the ecosystem. So this is what we need to think about. So yes, pollinators is a great thing. I purchased a pollinator bird bath. Cool. Yes. Put a little salt. Walgreens has magnesium you can put in your bath water. So you put a few flakes of magnesium. They like that. They like bleach, chlorine. It's a salt that they like in your water. And when you see bees eating in a pile of dirt, there's some mineral in there that they want. So put out water.
Put bleach in the bird bath?
Just a little,
Okay.
little. You know,
Drops.
I once put way too much in my bird bath. I wish I had this picture. It bubbled. It was nasty. It was a toxic waste dump. Yeah, a little.
Okay.
I thought a lot's good. No, bad. And when you teach your bees to where to go, then they get their fountain. And then there's the rest of your yard. So you just learn how to use the feng shui of beekeeping to train the bees to go where you want them. Because when we had them going over a vegetable garden, the farmer said, I have no pests. Why? Because the bees own this. Right over the vegetables, like no bug was going in there, because it was a freeway for all the hives.
Good.
What is the shelf life on honey?
The FDA is happy that I put a 10-year expiration date on it. They have found honey in the tombs of the Middle East.
It doesn't matter if it's open or not, you keep it on the shelf.
It's
once
better
sealed.
if it's closed. I would keep small batches open so that when you do the dippers, you're dipping and stuff, because oxygen does affect it on the top, and it does dehydrate, and you might end up with this, concentrated goo at the bottom because it's evaporated. But honey lasts dang near forever, though the FDA doesn't want to talk about it. It does get darker over time. I work very hard on having raw honey kept below 110. I try to stay in the 100-degree range because a hive is naturally 98.6 degrees. Huh. Science. That's when they talk about life as we know it, and we look at things and they come up with the same answers. We're like, 98.6. Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so we keep our runny honey in a warm room so that when it gets to you, it's still runny. And I keep my creamed honey, which we're very known for, because honey wants to crystallize. So when you find it in a tomb, it's crystallized, because when it's exposed to cold, the little crystals in there will form. And it's called science. And when you get a jar and it's got big chunky crystals in it, it's because they had big chunky crystals in it. What we do is we crush those down with a mortar and pestle till they're tiny little oval things. We use science, just like kombucha or sourdough. We replicate it, because I'm not crushing 1,000 pounds of honey. There are others who are doing that. They're crystallizing their honey and running it through a meat grinder and bruising like a, you don't do that to tequila. Why do we want to do that to honey? We use this. Our method of creaming is using the Dice Victorian method, where we use 3 to 6 weeks to let it naturally crystallize, and it's creamy and it's wonderful and it's beautiful, and you put it on your toast and it doesn't run. So it's awesome for a peanut butter and honey sandwich.
So if it crystallizes, what do you do? How do you do that at home? What do you do with the crystals?
1, you can put it on your windowsill. 2, you can put it on your heat radiator. 3, you can put it in the trunk of your car and come back on Monday.
Just warm it up. Okay.
But remember to park your car outside if you're fortunate enough to have a garage. It's not a magic device. It's got to have the solar heat.
But you just need to warm it up to get rid of it.
But gently you can put it out your back porch and put it out in sun, and then keep rotating it and see how it's going to go.
Or throw it in your coffee, maybe?
Oh yeah, if you scoop it straight in your coffee, boom, boom, it's done. But if you wanted to make runny honey again, you put it in the sun, you put it in your car. You want to gently warm it, because we've worked really hard to keep those enzymes in it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That is one of the most common questions I get, is how do I make my honey runny again?
Nikki, did you say you feed them food, any kind of food?
We buy pallets of Healthy Bee, which is got essential oils, some sugars, and spirulina and such to do that, which helps them build brood. Then we're also doing a pollen patty substitute from Man Lake that we mix with, we call it junk honey. It's honey that's in bad frames, old stuff. I don't want to serve it to the public. So we spin that out and we call it junk honey, and we blend that with our pollen mix to make pollen patties to feed them at a different time when there's a pollen dearth. When there's not enough plants, they have dearth. We feed them, I try to get as many organic sugar syrups as I can. I don't do corn syrup, and I mix it with more essential oils and other biome stuff to help take care of them, because the environment is not healthy enough. A peach in 1950 was more nutritious than a peach today.
Yes.
We have to feed our soils. We have to integrate chickens and goats into our systems. That's why they have Goattober, because now male goats can be grown and used for food instead of being slaughtered early on, because they save female goats for the milk. They use male goats to cut grass, clean out forests and subgrass. If we go back to the founders of whatever your organization started with in 1776, there are methods we can use that are affordable and equally sound. And we can rebuild all of this and do it much better, because if we put a beehive, a chicken, and a goat in an area with water, life is going to be good. Just saying.
What's the distance that you said from a structure? Because I was.
Oh my gosh, 300 feet from the road and 1,000 feet from a building.
1,000 feet from a building.
Yeah, is that stupid? In urban America, where's that going to happen? And these are the people who will ask me, I need local honey. I need it from here. I couldn't possibly do it from there. That town's 5 miles away. I need local. Local honey is 250 miles. The wind blows. Kansas had smoke from California's fires. I'm sure if you look at the satellite pictures right now, you will see the smokes that are coming from our Northern California fires. Janet, go for it.
I think that's California regulations, because here in Austin, we actually have rooftop gardens on one hotel, and they have their own hive on that top of that hotel.
Yeah.
Different
So,
cities,
it-
different
yeah.
cities. It's different
Oh,
cities.
good.
Yeah.
'Cause I have an acre and I was thinking about putting a hive at the, or inviting a beekeeper to put a hive at the back.
Yeah, well, what we do is we tell our people, since I run a company, we're gonna put bees on your hive and we're gonna be there till one of your neighbors complains. And it's the neighbor who wants to, so do it. Do it. Rule number one is do it. Rule number two is work with your city council. Rule number three is understand that when the neighbor says, oh my God, there's a bee in my dog bowl, yeah, they're gonna get to win. And so what we're doing is beekeepers have gone from quiet, wonderful people to, they want us to register our hives and we're like, not telling you, not telling you. Why? Because you're gonna make me get rid of them. And it's challenging being a beekeeper in the 21st century. It really is insanely difficult because the
How many
regulations.
beekeepers are there now?
I have to know how many there are. That's good. Because there's the professional ones. And then as a hobby, oh my gosh. We rescue a lot of hives. When people buy one of those flow hives with the little spouts, they think buy hive, put in bees, come back, turn on faucet, out comes honey. Insert in between is a lot of hard work, care, and feeding. And so we end up rescuing a lot of people's flow hives. It's one of our new, it's like the Chihuahua. When Paris Hilton had a Chihuahua, everyone got a Chihuahua. 2 years later, Chihuahua rescue was a big, huge thing because everyone went, I'm done with this little dog because they didn't train it right. And we need people who train their bees right. And when we get a bad hive, they all go to this farm in Half Moon Bay and we start working on rehabilitating them. And I'm telling you, some of them are just, it's painful. And we requeen them. And if we have to, we'll exterminate them. But we work on, but they all go out here because at the foot of the runway, there's no one there. So they literally go to the farm. The first one I did, I had to destroy. And you do that with CO2 ice because I couldn't keep it in an urban environment. And I didn't have this farm. So I have to be responsible. There was, you may have read it. There was a bee swarm in Arizona, and they said it was 100 pounds. The average bee swarm is like 10 pounds. So I don't know how it could be 100 pounds. And somebody died. So they have the killer bee stuff, but we're working on getting rid of the bad genetics. That's why we're always breeding to be more gentle and better and being responsible. And you as local people, I just need you to plant things. Start with basil, chives, herbs, natural foodie things. And, plant, find out what your local pollinator is, because I know you guys are all over America. And when Cheerios planted out seeds, the native people went nuts going, you gave me pollinator seeds, but they're not good for my town because they're not native. So, it's finding out what works for you. And oxalic acid is a great one. It's a weed, but it's a beautiful weed. Knotweed, if it works in your area, is a beautiful weed that does things. Star thistle is a weed that bees love. And if you do not like star thistle and have the land to control it and stuff, it is nasty, but it makes a great honey. Plant fruit trees that are good to your area. I mean, is California citrus native now? I don't know, but we have so many citrus that you can plant citrus. Fruit trees are fabulous. Anything that blooms that you can get that rotates. There's a tree, I have to get the name of it. I think it's part of the Manuka tree family that blooms in October. Very important, because when they go into the fall, we stopped harvesting honey and they need to start packing for the winter, and that's all the honey for them. So think of things that bloomed in different years and different months, and rotate your garden and work with your master gardeners and your nurseries, because your nurseries are struggling. Nurseries did really well when people in the 50s and 60s and 70s were planting the little flowers in the front of their cute little white picket fence. We're not planting like we used to. So support your local nursery or you won't have a local nursery. I even say support your local Walgreens, because Amazon can just ship it to you. And if you want to be able to buy your prescription today, you better shop at your local Walgreens now. Mm-hmm. It's thinking in the new perspective of what keeps your ecosystem in by buying your local pizza, going to your local mechanic. I try so hard now not to buy at Amazon. It's like 10 years ago, I was like, let's help not Walmart, but help Amazon. And now I'm like, oh, now we have a beast. So now it's like, what can I possibly buy locally? I go buy my auto parts from the Winchester Auto Store because it's local. And if I can walk into a local store, someone local has got a job to do it. So e-commerce is fabulous. I support it. When I can't find it, I'm going to e-commerce it. I'm going to ship it to me. And there are companies across the country and the world that have things for me. I'm trying to bring down the cost of my lids. Right now, my lids as a small beekeeper are 55 cents for the lid and 55 cents for the jar, plus 4 or 5 labels. I'm now spending $1.50 and I haven't even put honey into the jar yet. I have to bring that down. So I may lean on Asian importers till I can find the local national people who'll sell it to me for less, till I later on in 3-5 years make my own bottles by employing locally. So I'm working with Manufacturer San Jose to build towards the manufacturing plant, because that way you're keeping your resources local and reverberating $1. When you spend $1 local, 65 cents has a chance of staying in the community.
Mhm.
When you put $100,000 into your community, it probably reverberates to $3 million, because it all goes around. You go get your nails done, she goes and buys gas. The gas gets in a car and the car has to get parts. The parts has to go to a mechanic and the mechanic comes over here. And as you keep reverberating around to what you're doing here, it reverberates and echoes through your community. It's why we have ghost towns. The economic engine failed. So spiral out. Eat your honey locally and then nationally and then internationally. Spend locally, then nationally, then internationally. And just try to concentrate it locally. Plant something. I don't care if it's basil, but plant something. If we get 30 million people to plant something, it would make a difference. YouTube was working on having people plant some trees, and it got trees planted. Little things can reverberate, and that's what I ask from you guys are. So I thank you today for letting me entertain you. If you have any more questions, you can always email us. We're around. Find us on Facebook. I answer all that stuff. I'm still in charge of all of that stuff. And Mike's like, not me. He's around when we want him to be. He's in Reno right now. And we have more beekeepers supporting him. And when we get through this growth phase, I will get to beekeep again. We built this company so I could beekeep. And now we're in the phase that I don't beekeep. But that's the growth. That's what happens. You make fabulous pies. You open a pie company. You're not making pies. You're running a company. So I will get back into the suit and it will happen. And I am crazy enough to be a first generation beekeeper. And I know you guys all come from multi-generational farms. So I'm hoping to be the reflection point for new farming in the new century.
Thank you.
I would like to commend you, because coming from California, I know what you're up against. I
It's the
lived there
Republic
for
of California.
65 years, and it's not an easy place to get started. It's not an easy place to work with as far as your local and
no.
state.
Yeah, San Jose is working with me right now because they know I can drive across to Reno and build my plant much easier, better, faster, cheaper. And they're trying to get me to stay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you got to make it easier. I don't need it to be easy. I need it to be easier. The in life is something I live by. I want to be happier, skinnier, taller, happier.
When you get to the skinnier part, would you make another?
Yes. I just, I ate a potato last night. My fingers are a little stiff today, but it's birthday week. And and a bunch of us have our birthdays this week. My mother, my assistant, we do, and this is the week we eat carbs. I bought a $75 cake from a local baker who used the French method. It was only this big around, but she did the highest quality wheat, the highest quality sugar, the highest quality butters, blah, 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 blah. I bought local, I supported local. And if I'm going to eat carbs, I'm going to eat the best carbs. So one of my new t-shirt designs we're working on for the t-shirt line is I save all my carbs for honey.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a great one. Does anyone else have questions for Niki?
Yeah, you can leave as you want to, and anyone who wants to answer questions, because my trucks don't start coming back for a couple of hours.
Okay.
I do have another one.
Queen live? How long does the queen live?
She used to live 7 years. Now we're lucky for a year. She's
Why?
petering I think when we're not breeding with enough drones, because she needs to mate with 20 guys. She's got to fill her up because she does that series of mating flights and that's it. And she's in her hive the rest of her life till she goes off and swarms. She's got them all in her. It's a one-time thing. All the eggs, all the sperm, she puts them together intellectually, one at a time. How'd you figure that out? Man, they're smart. But they're not living as long because of nutrition, environment, bugs, and breeding. So we're working on how to get stronger, docile, healthy, strong bees. And so we're put like scientific beekeeping. Randy Oliver, if you want to go on YouTube, find him just for interesting watching. We're working on this stuff. We're working on this stuff. But when you have, it costs $350 to requeen a hive every time at my level. On the bigger levels, it's probably 100 because you got to count the labor, the truck, the people, you know, the bees, the breeding. It's not cheap. And she used to live longer. Now I'm like, we used to dot our queens like this is a 2019 queen. She's this color. And there's a great YouTube picture or Facebook picture where they get the Queen Elizabeth and all her different dresses for the different colored years for each year it has a different color. Now we're not even doing that. Why pay to dot the queen when she's going to be gone next year? So things are changing. And I want us to get no-till methods, chickens and goats and local neighbors and micro farms to put our vegetables like lettuce and carrots locally to give the 4-H diversity and employment, drainage to our communities to fill our aquifers. It's all full cycle. It's all full cycle. Happy birthday to me. Oh, yes, it's birthday week.
Happy birthday.
Yes,
Happy
it's birthday week.
birthday.
Yes, so
Happy
Nikki's
birthday.
yeah, thank you. Nikki's birthday is this week, my birthday's this week, and my mom's birthday's this week. So we just like, it's carb week. Instead of shark week for us, it's carb week.
And Donna has her hand raised.
Donna, go for it.
Okay. Several years ago, I know that this was an undertaking by the Daughters of the American Revolution. That's a different group.
It is.
About bees. That was
I gotta
that
go
was
look
one
it
of
up.
the big things was bees. And I know that bees were being shipped across from California all the way to New York because there was such a bee shortage.
Yeah.
Do you know, has that turned around a little?
All my wealthy friends who own bees, their bees don't live like mine do, like I showed you. My bees, my boutique bees are very stable. They tend to live in an area. We're working on going with everyone else to almonds because you come home with a big fat check. Check pays for equipment, pays for people, pays for trucks. But bees now live on semi-tractor trailers. If you, I guess I should find some illustrations. There's these circuits based on the blooms of the sunflowers, the apples, the blueberries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, where the trucks are just moving. And we're trying to work with the state inspectors to not make us park, because you park a cow at an inspection station, he's going to be fine. Bees are not. And so we cannot leave at the borders, the inspection systems of the bees parking, because you just kill 400 hives. It's insane. So bees are the industry, in order to survive, is splitting, breeding, remaking, and keeping these bees moving. It's not the 1700s anymore. It is just totally different. So if there's a shortage, supply and demand, the trucks make a left and they roll them, and they go that way. So we're trying to really work with governments.
Good.
To make the inspections easier, to use technology. Now we're starting to put little geotags. If you have 400 hives, we're putting 1 or 2 on the trucks because people are stealing the bees.
Oh, no.
And so we're using little technology now. You know, you steal my bees, go find it. And, you know, it's finding the needle in the haystack. So we're learning to fight back. We're learning how to do things. And I ask that you go buy plants that are neonicotinoid free. Try to be organic. Try to use natural methods. Vitamix just made this composter I bought. Santa Clara is now giving us little food buckets to put in our leaf bins, our food stuff, because it's putting food wastes into landfills is causing problems. And so if we can learn to put these things back, and the cities can start making their own compost programs and putting the compost back out and keeping it lower, we're lowering our carbon footprint. We're helping to sequester carbon. We're controlling the bugs. We're making the landfill systems better. And I'm an advocate for mining landfills, but that's another show.
Your
I-
website is great. I've been on
Thank
your
you.
website quite a bit and it is really good.
We're just at the ground floor. I got to start writing all the recipes and getting the blogs up going and stuff. So thank you for the compliment. We're having fun with it. I want to get the t-shirts and stuff in there because I have lots of one-liners.
You need those in.
Yeah, we're working on it. And I'm trying to work with a company that you order, they print it, they send it to you because do I know how to print t-shirts from my first career? Yes.
No.
Yes, I do not. I was a graphic designer. That was my first career. So I have silkscreen. Do we want me to do that? No.
No. The little packet that I purchased from you, where is that on the website? Do you know?
There should be a 4-bear pack somewhere in there. That would mean I know my own website.
Let me look under gifts.
Yeah, there's a 4-bear pack and a 10-bear pack. And the 10-bear pack, you can pick the different bears that you want.
There it is. 4-bear sampler pack. That's it.
Yeah. And we're trying to get everything better on shipping because once we spend $20,000 with the postal system, I can get under the cheaper rate. And once we get into things where people are willing to take longer, we can do bulk shipping. Because if you want it tomorrow, like Amazon, as a small business, yeah, I don't have the same pricing as them.
Yeah.
And so that's when I say, I'm going to be as cost effective as I can. Why is my honey $20 a pound? Because I have $2 million in beekeepers insurance, workers' comp, sexual harassment training, truck insurance like you wouldn't believe. The technology budget is just huge because to get that website and the web team to get us to do that took 2 years to get, because an e-commerce site's not the same as when you see these little commercials. You could have a website tomorrow, but people are only putting 6 sweaters on it. We're an e-commerce site that has a lot more stuff in it, but we're here to support people and cross promote.
Tell me about some of your flavors of honey that you currently have.
My new favorite is San Pablo Creek, and it's coming on as we're getting it bottled, and it tastes like lavender honey. It's not just in a lavender hill because it's got other stuff in it, and I'm very, very devout about telling you where my honey has been. So it's amazing. If you can get my dark Campbell with the white cap going up, it tastes like cinnamon molasses. And that was one of those harvests. It's a red honey. It only comes in like a 1-pound plastic right now. Because as we bottle it and it runs out, when this harvest is gone, this is my Chateau Nifty Pop 1942. Like this was my harvest. When this harvest goes, I will cry. But it's a red honey. When you hold it up to the light, you will see red. And it tastes like cinnamon molasses. I love that honey. Buckwheat. I have really become a fan of buckwheat. Honey is not a good source of iron. Buckwheat is a good source of iron, but it also tastes like beer. So if you're making bran muffins, if you're putting it in your brownies, if you want to put it on, glaze your ham with it, there's different ways to do things with it. So yeah.
And the first one you said was?
San Pablo Creek. That's the Berkeley, Walnut Creek, that's the North Bay area of California.
Got it. Honey.
San Pablo Creek. I just made it its own little logo. I got to get it on the website. And it tastes like, it's very lavender, very flowery, very flowery. It's, like my sage is, Winnie the Pooh, it's very middle in the road. Then, the San Pablo Creek is on the sage that's out here. And like buckwheat and canola aren't even, I go, this is not Winnie the Pooh. Buckwheat is not Winnie the Pooh honey. And I just want people to know when they're doing it. And that's what the 10-pack is for. We also do a 12-pack of 4 ounces. That's a beautiful box. Being a designer, I have great packaging. So if you're tired of doing C's candy and you want to send someone something interesting, do a 10-pack of bears, do a 12-pack of 4 ounces if they're really into honey, and support a local business. And then buy from other beekeepers. I have Cuban honey because I did a tour of all the Cuban apiaries with my mom. Mike found us a tax-deductible reason to go to Cuba, and we went and had a great time. I have African honey, and when I travel, I buy lots and lots of different kinds of honey to try the different things because honey is like saying cheese, wine. They're all very different, and you get to learn to do these things, and it's a better source of sugar. It is a carb. Totally, it's carb. but it processes differently. If you do a half a teaspoon, a small teaspoon in lemon or apple cider vinegar water in the morning and at night, it will do amazing things to your biome. And I'm going to say, just going to say, your belly gets a little flatter. It helps you process the weight that you carry on your belly and process your cheese. Just saying. By integrating it in. And they did a study. If you ate honey for 10 days, it didn't help your allergies. Yeah, honey is not a one and done. You need to integrate different honeys from different seasons because they all have different pollens to build your biome to help your allergies. So you need to eat spring honey from last year in January if you want to really get micromanaging. You want to eat fall honey in the summer. So you're getting ahead and eating the pollen before they start to bloom. And you have to integrate it into your life. It also makes a great salt and sugar scrub on your face. It's a great humectant. And if you have a wound, it heals your wound really well. So, because it's antimicrobial, antiviral, and oxygen free. A fun little trick is if you want to put garlic or roasted, I love doing roasted garlic, and you turn it every day for 6 weeks because it's like kombucha, it bubbles. You have to do that for 6 to 8 weeks to 10 weeks to get to settle down, and then it's good forever. And it settle downs and it's great and it's wonderful. But you can, or you can buy from people like me because it's a pet for 10 weeks.
So you just roast your garlic with honey in it?
No, you could, but you want to roast your garlic, then put it in the honey, then turn it. Because you don't want to cook the honey. You want to keep it as alive as possible. It'll thin out because the aniline will leave the garlic and thin the garlic, but give you the ability to preserve the garlic. It's an ancient, I wish I could take credit for it, but it's, one of those ancient things I do. If you do slices of lemon and honey and rotate it, I only like that good for about 90 to 120 days, 6 months at the most, because the lemon oil rind will change flavor over time. It doesn't preserve as well as garlic, but it is an amazing thing to take a slice of lemon with the honey preserved in it and put it in your iced tea or your hot tea. Amazing. But once again, it's a pet. You got to turn them, got to turn them, got to turn them, got to turn them. That's one of those limited things when I'm crazy enough to do that, we can do that. Oh, catnip plants are also really good. Catnip, oregano, plant all the herbs, all the vegetables. They make your garden look really beautiful if you put the plants in, and they have different stages. Because like lettuce is a little sprout, then it's a plant, and then it bolts and it has all those little flowers on it, which are good for the baby bees, the sweet bees. There are 4,000, 4,100, 4,200 kind of bees in the United States. So if you've got to plant things for all the bees, and so like lettuce becomes food for those little micro bees. They're just, we call them sweet bees. They're just itty bitty tiny. And making the bug farms that are becoming popular. You can take your old bricks and stick the woods and the things and make a bug hotel. That way if you want your carpenter bees to go somewhere, you make them a hotel. Otherwise they're going to your house. So it's, once again, we build a wood house and say, why are you in my wood house? Build bug hotels in your backyard. Play with the leaf, stick the things in, and no one's going to move in at first. Why? It's clean. It's got to get dirty and aged, and the spiders are got to put spider webs in. It's got to feel like earth. And once it's been out there a while, the bugs will start to move in, and they'll figure out who lives in the ladybug section and who lives in the salamanders, and they work it out. They know what to do. And as you read, they'll have to put the more things in it. Yes, they sell pollinator houses, and I would say pour dirt on it, water on it, and if you've got moss growing around your house, stick some of that in to propagate it so that it becomes not pretty. That it's got to be aged and have the dirt on it and the smells and things like it on it. It's like when I buy a brand new beehive, they're like, yeah, we don't like this. They don't like the smell of new. I stick old stinky frames in and they go, smells better. And because a brand new hive, they're all like, what am I going to do with it? It's brand new. It doesn't smell right. They want it to smell like wood.
This is amazing.
And earth. And so, yeah, go put out the little bug hotels, put out fountains, plant as many herbs and vegetables as you can, and snip them and put them in your salads. And It's amazing when you can go out and take a little basket and snip your stuff out. The year that we had our own salad garden, I loved it. It was great. But now I have bee equipment. I'm not growing lettuce. I buy them from my farmers at the farmers markets. I let them grow the lettuce and I'll do the bees. Because you just got to keep doing with it. It's shop local. Buy ugly looking fruit. Because it's not all supposed to be Snow White's perfect red apple. So when you go to the farmers markets and he's probably selling his beautiful lettuce and vegetables to the store, you want to buy the ugly stuff because what's he going to do with it? It's losses to him, and he needs to make
Profit.
money on every plant he plants, and they're not all picture perfect. Martha isn't going to make it to the 23rd century. We need to have rustic, real looking food. And I think when you buy from heritage apricots and heritage apple trees that we can't get down to 6 apples, because the American chestnut built America. It was an amazing tree. It built houses, it gave us food, it built ecosystems. And a blight came and killed the American chestnut in less than 50 years. And now we're trying to breed and how to bring it back. And I'm trying to tell the almond growers, I can't believe this little beekeeper was up there slapping the American Almond Association saying, you guys need to figure some stuff out, because go look at the American chestnut. You're one bug away from that happening. And they're like, what? I was just the big, bold, broad in the audience saying, speaking her mind. And yeah, I stood out in the crowd because somebody's got to say it. And I'm willing to do that. And at my age, I'm willing to say, if you don't like me, it's okay. But I'm going to try to speak my truth. I'm going to speak what I think is to the world's truth. We need to have diversity. We need to have local food security on a global scale. On a global scale. I can't save me with them not saving themselves. So we can have balance. Yes, we're still going to import raspberries in the winter from Chile. Cool. But can we get the food doing right here? The banana is about to hit. This current banana recovered from another blight, and this banana, because they don't have diversity, is struggling, or we're about to get to a new banana shortage. Go look that one up. We have to learn from the past. History doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme.
I like you.
Thank you.
I think we
Love
all
it.
do. Well, I apologize that Glenn is not here. He's working today. So I'm going to be the Toastmaster.
Cool.
I'm going to fill Glenn's shoes.
Excellent.
So we're going to toast and then we can answer questions again. But on behalf of the officers and the members of the National Society Descendants of American Farmers, I would like to thank Niki for joining us today to share some fascinating information about their very important work. Although their honey products have our collective mouths watering, their dedication to maintaining a healthy and vibrant bee population is of far greater importance. As one of the primary pollinators, American agriculture would suffer grievously if their populations were to wither. The FDA estimates that pollination by bees, by honeybees alone, is responsible for 15 billion in crop value.
Yep.
We owe the bounteous feasts that adorn our tables to the tireless apiaries such as Niki, and so we raise our glasses to them. May you have continued good health and success, and may your bees continue to buzz with vibrant, boundless energy. Cheers.
Cheers. You guys are awesome.
Thank you, Niki.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, go make your Saturday fabulous.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Farmer Smiles. Farmer Smiles. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Niki.